Happy 2 a.m. fellow nocturnal YouTube viewers. As I'll be mentioning in our upcoming video about MH370, we just recently added a second full-time creator to the channel to just kind of help us keep things moving a lot faster. And with that in mind, we're going to start doing a lot more of these poll or news update type videos, just so that we can communicate with you guys a little better about what topics you want to see covered next. And we really want this to be a type of subscriber run channel, so you can expect to see a poll probably once a week or so after we work out some kind of regular schedule. The very next video will still be the MH370 sequel, but we're just trying to get ahead of things so that one of us can start on the next topic right away. So definitely keep an eye out for the poll at the end of this video, but these are the four most highly requested topics that we've been receiving over the last few weeks. And I'm going to give a really short synopsis on each subject. I know a lot of these might be a little more obscure, but we'll go through them in order here. So, the story of Don Henry and Kevin Ives is a very upsetting one, and a lot of you guys probably already know quite a bit about it, but to try and sum it up, in 1987, two teenage boys were run over by a train in the small town of Bryant, Arkansas. Their deaths are extremely suspicious, however. I mean, just to start, they were laying across the tracks and covered by a tarp. The initial coroner stated that the two boys had smoked up to 20 marijuana cigarettes, and that they were so stoned that they didn't hear the hundreds of tons of steel and the train's horns as it was screeching towards them, even though the brakes had been engaged. And of course nobody buys this. It was super controversial even at the time. And this also happened during the Iran-Contra scandal that we mentioned in the Octopus series, run in part by the CIA, of course. And a lot of you probably even know that Barry Seal was covertly airdropping huge amounts of cocaine into the exact area where these boys were killed. So the popular theory is that the boys must have stumbled upon one of these airdrops and that they had to be silenced for what they saw. A second autopsy was even performed that showed one of the boys was stabbed with a large knife and the other had his skull crushed in with the butt of a rifle before they were placed on the tracks. I mean, there's a lot of mysterious details about the case, and a lot of researchers even believe that some very high-level political figures may have been involved. And it's an absolute tragedy in any event. The parents of Kevin Ives have set up a GoFundMe page to try and help investigate some of the newer details that have surfaced around the case. So even if you guys don't pick this topic for the next videos, please at least just take a quick look at that GoFundMe page and check out what they're trying to do. I put a link in the top of the description. Now, Terrence Yeakey is another heartbreaking tragedy, and it's a case that I'm already somewhat familiar with after having researched the Kenneth Trentadue story. But Terry was an Oklahoma State police officer and an absolute hero who saved several lives in the immediate aftermath of the OKC attack. But allegedly, he took his own life under unbelievably suspicious circumstances. And I mean, virtually anyone who looks into what actually happened comes out of their research with enormous doubts about the official story. Practically nothing about it adds up. Then, probably the most widely known of all these topics, Gareth Williams, was a Welsh mathematician, a GCHQ employee, and MI6 intelligence officer who was found dead inside a duffel bag, padlocked from the outside, that had also been placed in the bathtub. But strangely, his death was ruled as either an accident or a suicide. And again, just like with all of these, this is a truly bizarre case, and it's even pretty widely alleged that he was probably taken out by some kind of foreign intelligence operatives, probably Russian, and then of course covered up. This is one of the most highly requested topics for us to cover. People have been asking us for over 2 months now, and for good reason. The details behind all of this are just completely insane. Then lastly, the Finders Cult. This is a shadowy group involved with kidnapping, child abuse, and human trafficking who may also have ties to some kind of weird satanic ritual, whatever crazy people stuff, and possibly even the CIA. There is a ton of weird stuff going on with this group and the little bit that we know about them. We only even know anything about them at all because 2 men were arrested in 1987 under the suspicion of kidnapping 6 children and then transporting them to Florida. I mean, this stuff is like straight out of like a season of True Detective or something. The 2 men were supposedly very well dressed and professional looking, but the children were reported to have been filthy, hungry, and, just badly mistreated in general. And again, just like with all of these cases, the devil really is in the details. Some of this stuff would be criticized for being too far-fetched if it was portrayed as fiction in a television show or a book or something. But unfortunately, it is a very dark reality and it really did happen. So every one of these stories leads down a very deep rabbit hole, and I encourage all you guys to look into each one regardless of which topic scores highest on the poll. I'm sure that we'll eventually create a video on all of these, but for now, we just want you guys to tell us which one to cover immediately after the MH370 sequel. We also just want to say that we truly cannot apologize enough for just how long it's been since our last upload. But we just want to remind everyone that YouTube will not let us monetize at least 90% of our videos because we just use so much copyrighted material, like news clips and documentary footage and whatever we can find. And we also, of course, talk about so many topics that are deemed completely unsuitable for most advertisers. So basically, we still have to maintain full-time jobs, just to get the bills paid and stuff. Now, that being said, we will continue to plug away and try to release videos as often as possible, even if it means that we have to keep working on them at night. And we might set up a Patreon or something like that in the future, but we just don't really like asking fans for donations, you know what I mean? It's much more likely that we'll start off making merch at some point, but for now, we'll just have to kind of play things by ear and see how it all goes. But that brings us to the last point for today. We want you guys to help us come up with a cool logo or a design for the channel, even if it's just something you did in Microsoft Paint. It doesn't matter. Just, something that we could slap onto a sticker or a t-shirt, things like that. So please start sending in your ideas and submissions. We're not really calling it a contest per se, but if we do end up using your design or your submission, you'll get a free piece of every type of merch that we eventually make. So if we make t-shirts or hoodies or who knows what, maybe even like coffee mugs or something like that, you'll get one of each of them for free. And well, dudes and dudettes, stay tuned for that next MH370 video that will absolutely be coming out very soon. We have finished the audio and the narration. We're just working on probably somewhere near the middle of the editing, so it should be extremely soon now. It's also the longest video that we've ever done by far, so hopefully we will see you guys then. Peace!